Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, the Ruel. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I wanted to go into this lesson. One of the brothers had sent me this, told me about this yesterday that had happened. One of the brothers in our camp, Brother Yashawan, it says a 23-year-old killed a 39-year-old married football coach after catching him in his home with his wife in Alabama. And at first it's confusing, but what happened was the guy on the left is the 23-year-old and the guy at the top right is the 39-year-old. And I don't know why they said the 39-year-old married football coach, why they worded it like that. But the 39-year-old man was committing adultery with the woman at the bottom. And the woman at the bottom was the guy on the left. I don't know if she was his wife or girlfriend, because I seen some posts that said wife, son, that said girlfriend. But regardless of what she was his woman. You know, the guy on the left, she was his woman. So the guy at the top right, the football coach, was committing adultery with this man's woman in the guy on the left's house. So he went to this man's house. I don't know the whole basis of why he was there, as far as like, all the what was going on, what took place when the guy got home and found him there. But all I know is the guy on the left found the 23-year-old. He found this 39-year-old in his house with his woman, and he killed him in the bedroom. So obviously we already know what was going on. He was committing adultery. But like I said, catching him with his wife. So, some of the comments, they go into it, which I ain't gonna play the video, but it says the 23-year-old unalived a 39-year-old married football coach after catching him in his home with his wife, in parentheses, girlfriend, Alabama. And everybody's is on the side of the 23-year-old for the most part. Like I said, they said that the football coach is the one that went to this man's house and was having sex, committing adultery with that man's wife. And he already had his own wife, he had his own situation. He was a father, a husband, he had his own situation going, and you go and take, you go and deal with somebody else's wife, which the scriptures tell about the outcomes of that, which I had did a video on that not too long ago. And this is the third case I done heard about this in the past like 2-3 weeks. The first one being what happened down here in Jackson, Mississippi, where the man, the husband, he was like 54 years old. He had a 24-year-old wife, something like that. And he killed her because she was committing adultery with the maintenance man, and they were married. And she was committing adultery with the maintenance man, because she was she worked at an apartment complex. She was like the manager there. So she wound up getting killed, And then the second situation, I forgot exactly where it was. But again, the man went to the woman's job, his wife's job, because she was committing adultery. And he tried to kill her, but he didn't kill her. He was shooting her with a revolver or something, but he didn't wind up killing her. But she got shot up a couple times. But she didn't die. Now, this situation, the man actually killed the guy that was committing adultery with his wife. And she doesn't get away. These people that's still alive to this day that was committing adultery, not going to get away. This is all spirits of vengeance from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, for one, bringing judgment, and two, the scriptures tell you what happens when you commit adultery with another man's wife. It tells you what happens. And not only that, this is a lot of judgment coming on you women. This is like a forewarning of the judgment that's coming to you women, because all you women that's been doing all this adulterous acts and nothing has happened to you, because according to the scriptures, the adulteress and the adulterer is supposed to be put to death. That means the man and the woman is supposed to be put to death for committing adultery, and everybody knows that that's wrong. Even if it's girlfriend and boyfriend, cause according to this world standards, you got a such thing as girlfriend and boyfriend. There's no such thing in the scriptures. But even in this world, the way this world identifies it, girlfriend and boyfriend if a, you know, like, and I'm gonna just say it in the rights term, because a man can have multiple wives. That's in the Bible. So if your woman, your girlfriend, is cheating with you, cheating or committing adultery with another dude, that's they still acknowledge that she cheating on him. She's committing adultery, because they link adultery with cheating. They just try to make a new word for it, but it's the original. The original and only term for it is adultery. So even in the sense of a girlfriend and boyfriend, this world still knows that you're not supposed to be with nobody else if you're with this person, and that's strictly for the women. So this world knows that doing that is wrong, so it's no excuse. But according to the Bible, the adulterer and adulteress is supposed to be put to death. But of course, being in this modern society, we can't do that, and we don't advocate for anybody to do that. And trust me, brothers have been through situations where their woman has cheated on them, committed adultery, whether they were married or not. We've been in situations where our woman has been dealing with other men while they was with us. And then they probably left the brother, all the situations they went through. We didn't crash out. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't have strong emotions behind it. We didn't have no, because that's like the ultimate form of betrayal that a woman can do to a man, is to give herself over to another man while she was with him. She belongs to you, and then she give herself over to another man. That's like the ultimate form of betrayal that a woman, that is the ultimate form of betrayal that a woman can do to a man. So the judgment that's behind it is honestly the rightful judgment. And they even got a thing called crime of passion, which I looked that up. But this is just some of the comments. It says, I ain't watched the video. Somebody said, we need to know who the woman is so this won't happen again. And you just think about it. That's kind of like an ancient mindset, because so it won't happen again. Well, the penalty for it was they were supposed to be put to death, and that's supposed to put fear, and they don't get no peaceful death, no injection, and they just fall asleep. No, it's gonna be a shameful death, because that's a shameful act. That's an act of betrayal too, and that's supposed to instill fear into the rest of the people to not do something like that. That's what all this is all the purpose of it for. Now it says, this person, Lily Dixon, it's a woman, free him. When women do things like this, y'all quick to holler, stop playing with people's feelings or some other shit. Shouldn't be cheating no way. Then in my house, she would have got the business too. Right? So they were like, when women do this, when they see catch their man cheat with another man, they were like, stop playing with people's feelings. But when a man do it, everybody want to be like, oh, he shouldn't have did this. He shouldn't have did that. He took it too far. That's basically what she's saying. And it said you shouldn't be cheating no way, which cheating is, again, the proper term for it is adultery. You're not supposed to be committing adultery. And then it says, right, she is lucky that he didn't turn the gun on her as well. And I can't get the comments because I'm not on social media, so I can't get all of it. But this person said, I can honestly say if I was ever to catch my husband in bed with another woman, only 1-2 things are going to happen, which I'm not going to pretty much go into this, because a man can have multiple women. That's according to the scriptures. And you going to get it. All these women are going to get into the mindset of sharing a man. So you say this now, but when Jacob's trouble would just really take hold, you ain't going to be concerned about the other women that your husband have. You going to be concerned with just trying to make sure you still good. All this jealousy and stuff that women have with other women, all that's going to be out the window. So I'm not even going to read that one. Let's see, it says, I'm trying to look at this logically. This is going to be a tough situation for him because he chose to let the girlfriend live. He was angry enough to kill the man, yet he had the restraint or maybe compassion not to kill the person who actually initiated the whole ordeal. And you can't even say that, because we technically don't know if he tried to take her out too and she just got away. We don't know exactly the full details. And I don't know if it been told or not, but, I don't know, at least. So, like I said, you can't really say that. It says this shows a level of selective control, which suggests he wasn't completely out of his mind. Of course, we weren't there, so we don't know his first point of contact. if it began in an argument that escalated to the shooting, that's a very different scenario. Blah blah blah. Either way, I think his biggest mistake was letting her live. And again, we don't know what the situation could have been, because the man, the one that got killed, could have got up. The man could have came home, heard or found his wife in bed with another man, and then the guy that was committing adultery was probably trying to go and fight the dude so he can get away, so that he can preserve his life while she got away. Because I did read somewhere where it said she was the one who called 911. So the man probably was fighting, trying to get off, and the dude focused on him, and she got away and called the police. It ain't no telling how the situation played out, but regardless of the fact, the man got his judgment, and that woman, her pending judgment is coming. So and here it is. It says, sounds like a crime of passion, usually slapped on the wrist compared. But at the same time, he had a switch. That's what he killed the dude with, a switch. Somebody said, I'm hearing she graduated from the school he coached at, so I'm guessing he was messing with her while she was at school. Then somebody else said, no, they worked together. He was her work bae. So I'm not going to read all the comments. Yeah, and everybody's saying crime of passion. So I'm going to look that up, and then I'm going to get into the scriptures. But I'm going to read one more. It says, in the state of Alabama, if he walked in with his gun on him, concealed or open carry, and he saw that as he entered to the home, it'll be reduced to manslaughter. Heat of passion, maybe do 5 to 10, depending on priors. But if he went anywhere else in the home to retrieve the weapon, it'll be murder intent with a minimum of 15 years. Bottom line, this young man shouldn't have been put in this predicament, selfish on all parties involved. And it wasn't selfish on his party, because that man had every right to do what he did. Again, we don't know the situation, but he had every right, and the scriptures tell you so. It literally tells you how these situations play out, and we seeing it more and more. And then a lot of these times, a lot of these situations don't get they don't get spoken to. I seen nothing that said you're married and with someone else's wife. Yeah, it don't make sense. And like I said, a man can have multiple wives. That ain't the issue. But in this particular case, you got a wife, but you going to mess with somebody else's wife. That makes zero sense. That makes absolutely no sense. And now here it is, you in the spirit world, your wife finding out that you got killed because you was committing adultery. Not even just that you was with another woman. You was committing adultery. And then your children got to find this out. Because he was a father too, and he's 39, so he probably had some, pretty still young children. Even if they was in their teens or whatever the case may be, the earliest they could have been was maybe like early 20s. And now their father is gone because of some stupidity. And that woman, she is just as much to blame as well. So let me look up crime of passion. It says, in criminal law, a crime of passion is a crime committed in the heat of passion or in response to provocation, as opposed to a crime that was premeditated or deliberate. A crime of passion in popular usage refers to a violent crime, especially homicide, in which the perpetrator commits the act against someone because the sudden strong impulse such as anger or jealousy rather than a premeditated crime. So basically what it's trying to say is the person walks in and finds out that somebody's doing something or you use this case, somebody's committing adultery with this man's wife, and in an act of rage, he, like I say, strong emotion, strong impulse or jealousy, he takes him out, before he just actually premeditated, premeditated meaning he think about how he gonna do it before he do it, instead of it just in the heat of the moment. So again, let me go back to it, because this is absolutely, it makes no sense. But the Lord is bringing a lot of judgment on people. So this is Proverbs chapter 6, starting at verse 32. I'm gonna read it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 27. AMP. Can a man take fire to his chest and his clothes not be burned? Or can a man walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? The answer is no. So is the one who goes into his neighbor's wife. Whoever touches her will not be found innocent or go unpunished. Now going back to that article, or going back to it, because first thing people wanted to say was he was innocent, he was a loving, this, that, and the third. See, look at this. 23-year-old charged in deadly domestic shooting of beloved Birmingham football coach. Now, I'm not going to go into everything. I just want to go into the point to where everybody, and this is the guy that got killed. That's the football coach that was committing adultery. Now, here it is, this paragraph right here. This is the main thing I wanted to get. It says, friends and family are mourning Beverly's loss. He was a loving, caring father, brother, son, husband, said his father, Antonio Cook. He was just a good guy. But that ain't what the scriptures say. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get a precept real quick. This is Ezekiel 18. Let's see. Let me see where I want to start. I'm going to start at 21, AMP. It says, but if the wicked man turns away from all his sins which he had committed and keep all my statutes and practice justice and righteousness, he shall certainly live. He shall not die. All of his transgressions which he transgressed, which he committed, will not be remembered against him, because of his righteousness which he hath practiced for his moral and spiritual integrity in every area and relationship, he will live. Right, so the Lord is saying when men, or people in general, men and women, when they come out of their wicked ways, they repent, their mindset starts to change about how they view their behavior and how Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua views our behavior, and we try to change it for the better and do good and walk in the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Lord said he'll have mercy on you. He'll forgive you for the things that you've done as long as you continue in that way and continue into the end. You know, we have to continue, like I said, that moral and spiritual integrity. That's what we have to have. Committing adultery, there's no integrity within that. You know, it said he will live. Now, verse 23, do I take any pleasure in the death of the wicked, said the Lord? Rather than that, he should turn away from his malevolent acts and live. And this is talking about our people. Lord said, look, he want our people to repent and follow and do what's right, do righteousness. And he don't want our people to be wicked just so he can judge them. He don't take pleasure in that. He take pleasure in when we doing what he commands us to do, what's pleasing unto him. And just like with your children, you don't want your children to do bad just so you can take pleasure in punishing them and bringing evil, you know, not bringing evil, but just punishing and disciplining them. You want them to do good so that you can reward them, so they can make you happy. So it's the same way with the Heavenly Father with us. He wants us to do good so he can reward us and make us happy. So he can, you know, and that makes him happy. Now, verse 24, this is the point, but it says, but when the righteous man turns away from his righteousness and commits sin and acts in accordance with all the repulsive things that the wicked man does, will he live? All of his righteous deeds, which he has done, will not be remembered because of the treachery that he has committed and for his sin which he had committed. For them he shall die. Yeah. And I'm going to read verse 25 as well. It said, yet you say, the way of the Lord is not right. Hear now, O house of Israel, is my way not right? Is it not your ways that are not right? So the Lord was making the point. It was like, look, if a righteous man turn back into wickedness and start doing everything that's abominable, repulsive, and that the Lord absolutely hate, is it not right for the Lord to say, nah, bro, you doing too much. I'm finna take you out. Is that not right? So in this situation, for the Lord to have to put it on the spirit of the 23-year-old to take that man out Is that not right? And everything that that man has done prior to that, is that not right for that to not be remembered? Because committing adultery, that's a, like I said, let me get it. I think it's oh, how is it? I think it's a, let me see. It might be Deuteronomy 25, 21. It's an adulterer and adulteress, or uh, okay, let me see. Yeah, here it is. Leviticus 20. It says, and I'm reading this in the K. Well, I'm reading the AMP. It says, the man who commits adultery with another man's wife, even his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and adulteress shall most certainly be put to death. Right. So you're not going to get away with it. You know, the Lord literally states that, look, both of them are supposed to be put to death. That's in our law. That's righteous. Is that not right? This man violated this man's wife. He now look at this. This is what happened. Or this is the outcome of all of that. You got one family of the 23-year-old mourning that their son, friend, husband, well, son, brother, uncle, whatever he is to people, is about to be he's about to get sent away, get locked up. His life is basically destroyed. And I don't know if he had any children, but if he didn't have children, he's not finna have no children, at least right now. Or pretty much period, you know, because he's going to be locked up. He's not even finna have no children. So that's a whole house that never got established, and a house that's devastated by what has happened to him. Then you got the woman who committed adultery. She has a stain on her name, and knowing that she is the reason why this man that she was committing adultery with got killed, and the reason why the husband that she was with got locked up, because she was committing adultery, being a whore. And then you got and then she, well, I don't know, you know, I don't know if she have any children or not, but whether she got children or not, she got a stain on her name, and she got a pending judgment coming for her from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. Then you got the man who got killed. Now here it is. You was a football coach, a husband, brother, son, obviously, and father. You know, friends, all that, so on and so forth. Now you dead. You in the spirit world because you was committing adultery with another man's wife. And now your family is devastated because you gone. Both the family that you created and the family that you already had is devastated that you gone because you did something so stupid. So now you got 3 affected families, all devastated, and 3 houses that's gonna be traumatized from this because of your decision making, your wicked decision making. Both Eve and him, you know, and this it makes no sense, you know. But the Lord is judging this type of behavior, you know. It ain't finna be no more. These women just go out here and get with every man and commit adultery and cheat and they get away with it, or nothing happens to them at that moment. That's not, that time has long gone. The Lord is judging people for this. So let me go back to the Proverbs 6. And I should read 25. I'm gonna read 25. It says, do not desire lust after her beauty in your heart, nor let her capture you with her eyelids. For an account of a prostitute, one is reduced to a piece of bread to be eaten up, and the immoral woman hunts with a hook the precious life of a man. I'm gonna read that in the KJV. It says, lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids, for by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. You know, and that can be thought about 2 ways too. But the main way is for these women, especially when this woman got a man, bro, don't do it. Because you're gonna put a stain on your name, you're gonna devastate families by doing that, and then you're gonna get judged. It's that is not worth it. So going back down, verse 29, AMP again. So is the one who goes into his neighbor's wife. Whoever touches her will not be found innocent or go unpunished. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he is hungry. But when he is found, he must repay 7 times what he stole. He must give all the property of the house if necessary to meet his fine. But whoever commits adultery with a woman lacks common sense and sound judgment and an understanding of moral principles. He who would destroy his soul does it. So he who destroys his soul does it. Did he not destroy his soul? Did his whole legacy and everything that he had established, he gave up. This is what he did. He sacrificed everything that he established on earth. I don't know the guy. Don't know how he lived, what he got going on, but he sacrificed everything that he had on this earth. Whether he was in the truth or not, whether he knew he was an Israelite, everything that he had possession, he sacrificed that just to sleep with that woman. I don't know how many times he done it, but just to do it that one last time, even if it was the first time, he sacrificed everything, put it all on the line to do that with that woman. Now everything gone. He gone to the spirit world, so everything he had is gone. Even though, he still has family and stuff down here on earth, but he can't enjoy it. He back in the spirit world. It's not worth it. And like I said, you lack common sense and sound judgment and understanding of moral principles. You don't understand the basics of life. That's the first thing you're supposed to be taught when you growing up, is to have morals, to not to do something like that, because this is the outcome of it. You in the spirit world. Now we have to make videos, constant videos on our people getting the same outcome by doing the same thing that we constantly tell our people, that Yahweh Shema shot through us, tell our people not to do. So like I said, you lack common sense, sound judgment, and understanding of moral principles. And you destroyed families. You destroyed your own family. You destroyed the family of that woman. And you destroyed the young man's family. Both of y'all, not even just him, the both of them. It says, wounds and disgrace he will find, and his reproach, blame will not be blotted out. And we saw that on the comment section. Everybody was telling, like, bruh, you over here, everybody was mocking him, really. They was like, you got a whole wife and you commit adultery with another man's wife, like one of the comments said. Then the other one said, shit, that's a crime of passion. Shit, he had every right to do what he did. That's what the people were saying. They were like, he had every right to do what he did. And they were saying, shit, she should have got it too. But that's what the scriptures say. Ain't no way you gonna come into my house, sleep with my wife, and then think you gonna get away. That's, of course, like I said, thinking that's how the world would think, because we can't do that. Because if we was to do that, we'll be outside of the, we'll be moving carnally instead of through the spirit. But I understand, you can't blame the guy for that. You can't blame him at all, because this is what the scriptures say will happen. 34, now this is the point. It said, for jealousy enrages the wronged husband. He will not spare the guilty one on the day of vengeance. And like I said, this is the third case I done heard within like the last 3 weeks. In the first case, the husband killed the wife. The second case, he killed the wife and he was looking for the man, but he didn't find him. The second case, the husband tried to kill the wife, but she wound up surviving. And now this case, the husband killed the guy. He killed the man, the adulterer. And I don't know, the woman, she wound up getting away from that situation. But like I said, he will not spare. That man did not hold back. And as you can see from the picture, that man, he was actually, it looked like he had been crying. So you can tell that everything that happened had hurt him. He wasn't crying because he killed somebody. He was crying because everything that had just happened. That's that jealousy and that, like I said, the crime of passion, those strong, impulsive, and emotions, and that jealousy. You know, that's the worst thing you can do to a man as a woman. And all you women that do that, be looking for that type of judgment or something worse from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. All this is from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. Now, verse 35, he will not accept any ransom offered to buy him off from demanding full punishment, nor will he be satisfied though you offer him many gifts or bribes. Ain't no what, because that rage. Oh, I'm gonna read 34 in the KJV. It said, "For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance." That rage, I look it up again. Rage, that's uncontrollable anger. See, rage, violent, uncontrollable anger, the violent action of a natural agency, a vehement desire or passion, which is why they call it a crime of passion or rage, a vehement desire or passion. And then it says an instance of aggressive behavior or violent anger caused by a stressful or frustrating situation. All right. So down here is a verb. It says feel or express violent, uncontrollable anger. Continue with great force or intensity. Right. This is what that man experienced. He experienced violent, uncontrollable anger that it was like it came out of nowhere to find out that his woman was committing adultery with him in his house, and the man was in his bed. Like I said, just saying it out loud, you can just see how much of a shame that is. You in another man's bed with his wife, with his property, in his property. Like, nah. So that man got his judgment, for that. And can't nobody go back and say, well, he was this and he was that. He was an adulterer. And that's the last thing that he had, like that's the last thing on his name while he was here on earth. That he died an adulterer. That's a shameful death. Shameful way to go out. I'm gonna get one more scripture. And when I had first heard about this, it actually had me upset. Let me see. Typing fast. This is Sirach 39 and 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail, like I said, spirits created for vengeance. So that rage, that uncontrollable anger, that intense feeling, it's spirits associated with all of that. When somebody just instantly just spash out, what they call crash out in today's time, people crash out, different stuff like that. It's spirits associated with that. Spirits hop on people and give them the power and the energy to spaz out like they do. So like it says, fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword. The modern day sword is a gun, it's one form of the modern day sword. Punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. Now what is this, Sirach 39? I want to see what they say in the GNT. Okay, it says this Sirach 39 to 28 in the GNT. There are winds that are created to bring punishment, fierce enough to move mountains. In times of judgment, they unleash their strength and calm the anger of their maker. Now, winds is also synonymous with spirit. Spirit, wind, it all goes into those definitions. Let me get that real quick. Let me see which word I need to get. It might be under just spirit. It might have been wind. I could have got it under wind too. And the Hebrew word is rakah. So, well, I'm going to read the verse first. It says, and the earth was formed, this Genesis 1 and 2, and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters. So, going into that spirit, rakah, it says wind, breath, mind, spirit, breath, wind, and then spirit as that which breathes quickly in animation or agitation. So the spirit, that's what it's going into. And like it said in the KJV, there be spirits created for vengeance. So let me go back to it. Just wanted to see how it was worded. All right, so again, Sirach 39:28. There are winds or spirits that were created to bring punishment, fierce enough to move mountains in times of judgment. They unleash their strength and calm the anger of their maker. Vicious animals, scorpions, and snakes, the sword that destroys the wicked, fire, hail, famine, and disease. These have all been created as punishments. They are glad to obey the Lord's command and are ready to serve him on the earth. When their times of duty come, they never disobey. Right, so in this situation, the spirit of vengeance that came upon was the spirit of rage. That rage, vengeful spirit. Because of the act of adultery that was committed. So this should be hopefully this is what I'm trying to say. Hopefully this is an edifying video, of course, but hopefully too, for anybody that may stumble across this video or stumble across this because of the article or whatever the case may be, hopefully this serves as a warning, not to whether male or female, not to do nothing like that. And again, for women, men can have multiple wives. That's all throughout the Bible. It's all in the scriptures. It's in our genetic makeup. We can love multiple women, but a woman can only love one man. That's how you were designed. That's why all these women, they have all these men. You start comparing men. You start comparing who you with now to who you used to be. You wasn't capable of loving multiple men. And it's not going to be like that in the kingdom of heaven. You're going to have one husband for the rest of your life, and you're going to be happy about that. That's the only way you're going to ever want it. You're not going to want to be with multiple men. That's why it's a shame unto you, even in this modern society, it's a shame when a woman has been with multiple men, a lot of men. But when a woman has been with few men, you actually are praised for that. Only the wicked demonizes that. But a man can have multiple women. So as long as they're not married or with another man. So for the women, don't be out here committing no adultery, Don't be out here committing adultery, because this judgment can happen unto you or something worse. And for the men, if that woman, you always got to ask. You always got to ask. The Lord is always going to let you know. He going to let you know and it's going to be known that you knew. So when that judgment comes, you ain't going to have no excuse to say, well, I didn't know. She lied to me. She can lie to you, but the signs are still going to be there. The signs are going to be there. And you got to be able to pick up on them. And the Lord is going to let you know. And when he lets you know, if you want to act like you still didn't know, hey, that's on you. But just know, it's a judgment for that. I might end it on that. I done forgot how the scripture is worded, though. I done forgot how it's worded. I'm going to have to see if I can find it. Which I can get that. That's not what I wanted, but I can get that. James 4:17. I get that, but that's not the scripture that I wanted. And I just ended on this one. This is James chapter 4, verse 17. In the AMP, it says, so any person who knows what is right to do, but does not do it, to him it is sin. Right. So anybody who know what to do, you know what to do and what not to do, and you do what you're not supposed to do anyway, is sin. And adultery is a sin unto death. And that's why that man got that judgment that he got. And this is to serve as a warning for the rest of us on this earth not to do that, as to not get that same outcome or worse. So Lord wills the edifying lesson. I want to give our praises on and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Until next time, shalom.